The sun comes up on America. Across open fields, small towns, and city streets, a new day begins. And here, we rise with it. This is where hard work meets headlines, where truth matters, and America wakes up informed.
An interesting week.
They all are.
This is your country. This is your morning. This is Daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. America, let's do it together.
Love you, Ivy.
Love you too.
And it starts right now.
All right, welcome to Daybreak, going into another action-packed day, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom, working every day on the relentless pursuit of truth, no matter where it might lead. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, President Trump says the United States will pound Iran into oblivion if they keep launching missile strikes in the Middle East. He seemed to deliver on that promise last night. Number two, in your DSA update today, Democrat Socialist James Tallarico, in a newly resurfaced tape, celebrates the idea of defunding the police, something he had said lately that he never supported, but he did. And number three, yesterday, what a circus. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the man who dominated our television screens for years, stood before the Senate and chose silence over telling the truth. 111 times he invoked the Fifth Amendment, refusing to answer basic questions about his role in the COVID response. More than that, he refused to acknowledge even the items right in front of his face. This basically sums up the whole experience. Listen.
Do you have that in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Let the record record that the witness has refused to answer whether there's a folder in front of him based on his Fifth Amendment right.
You know, there was a lot more response from the gallery than you almost ever see in these hearings. People laughing, people clapping. Plenty more where that came from for you this morning. This is the same guy who couldn't get enough camera time during the pandemic. He loved the limelight. I mean, loved it. Yesterday, he ran from it. For months on end, Fauci was the face of every briefing, every announcement, every new restriction. He soaked up the attention while families suffered. But when senators asked him yesterday to explain himself under oath, he suddenly had nothing to say. Fauci wants us to forget. Biden built him up as the ultimate authority, the godlike figure whose word was supposed to be final on all things pandemic. Roll the tape.
Trump said he was going to fire Dr. Fauci. Isn't that wonderful? I got a better idea. Elect me and I'm going to hire Dr. Fauci.
By now, Dr. Fauci needs no introduction. Dr. Fauci is trusted, a truth teller, a patriot. So my message to you is this. Listen to Dr. Fauci, one of the most distinguished and trusted voices in the world.
Yeah, Americans were told to trust the science. And that meant trusting Fauci no matter what he said, above all else. Yet now when pressed, he wants us to believe he wasn't really in charge of any major policy decisions. The arrogance during the crisis, followed by the convenient humility in the hearing room, is insulting. Let me tell you about one story that captures the real human cost, one that came from Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio. Alicia Kitts and families like her saw the world turned upside down by the very rules Fauci championed and pushed behind the scenes. Kitts was arrested for trying to watch her kids' game from outside a stadium, all because she wasn't wearing a mask. They tased her, handcuffed her, dragged her away. Lives were shattered. Not just by the virus, but by the heavy hand of government overreach. Alicia's story is the kind that motivated leaders to step up and fight back, like Senator Bernie Moreno, who said exactly what so many of us have been thinking all these years. Here he is.
I cannot stand idly on the side and watch this happen. It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the f do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people.
Yeah, Marino didn't hold back. And that raw honesty is why people are rallying behind fighters like him right now in this midterm election season. Fauci's team tried every trick. His lawyer even claimed Senator Paul was just chasing prosecution for imagined crimes. Imagined? And if these crimes are really so imagined, then why is Fauci so scared to answer any questions at all? His attorney interjected so many times early in the hearing that Senator Rand Paul just kicked him out. I've never seen anything like it. Here it is.
But the attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered, for a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room.
Yeah, you're out. And people clapping. Again, the sort of thing you do not see in a hearing room on Capitol Hill. You heard the reaction. People done with the games. Then came the moments that really showed how far Fauci was willing to take his charade. Senator Josh Hawley presented him with clear, straightforward questions that any honest person could answer. But forget honest. Yeah, listen to this.
What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Oh, and then Hawley just peeled him. Because he has no rights. He has a pardon, whether it came from Joe Biden or the auto pen. And that's how you make a mockery of the legislative process. It's how you show disdain for the American people and the truth that we are all seeking. How did this happen? Yesterday wasn't about humility, it was about evasion. Hawley didn't just stop with those questions. He cut through it all with signature directness. This is a long one, but it's a bit worth it. But you know what? We're going to hold that because I want you to see it in its entirety. But I also want to hear from you. Did you see any of the hearing? I sat and watched it. Ivy and I did. Shocked, occasionally amused, but it's that arrogance that oozed out. But it wasn't the same Anthony Fauci now, was it? It wasn't the arrogant, defiant Anthony Fauci arguing with Rand Paul. He was somber. His face was down. It looked like he was going to cry because he knows he's in deep trouble. And in fact, he had 7 attorneys in the room with him. 7. This is a guy who knows that pardon, it may not hold up. Time will tell. Senator Hawley and his comments after the break. This is Daybreak. Those emails you can send me, stevegruber.com. I want to hear from you. I'll be back. All right, back to the Fauci hearings and Senator Josh Hawley. He was an attorney general in the state of Missouri. He knows how to conduct a trial, and this basically was that. Listen to what he said.
Yeah, well, silence is admission. And here's the real thing. At the end of the day, it wasn't just about the money, really, was it? It was really about a power trip. I mean, through all of this, you want to be the most famous scientist in the world. You were so focused on getting every award and every drop of cash that you could, all because you wanted to be on TV. You wanted to be the sun god of science. You wanted to be the guy who was in charge of it all. You wanted to lambast Trump. You wanted to make sure that nobody else stole your spotlight. You wanted to be the guy. You had time to sit for InStyle magazine. Here's what you were doing with your time. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you can't answer questions for the American people. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you're here taking the fifth. You could sit for InStyle magazine and get $1 million in cash awards, but now the cat's got your tongue. I bet he does. I tell you what, here's my conclusion from all of this. This was really all about you the whole time. Somewhere along the way, you lost your way. You may have been a good public servant at one time. I don't know. But I can tell you from reading your emails now, from looking at what you did, how you used your employees, somewhere along the line, it became all about you. You became a narcissist and a megalomaniac and a liar. And you've lied to the American people, and you've lied to this body. And you've disgraced your profession by doing it. You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You've done more to harm science than anybody in my lifetime. And I hope you'll go home and write that in your diary.
Ouch. Ouch. Nothing says I have nothing to hide like pleading the fifth 111 times. Hawley had it exactly right. This man is a snake through and through. You can't trust a word that comes out of his mouth. He would say something in public and then write something in his diary that contradicted it. Many serious questions, thoughtful questions were asked yesterday. There's no point in even replaying them because every single time Fauci pleaded the fifth, as we've showed you. The one time that he said anything else was during his opening remarks when he accused Senator Paul of being unhinged. Here's the one time Anthony Fauci spoke.
However, given Senator Paul's obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me, the only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars, unquote. Any reasonable person who has followed his unhinged obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion.
Yeah. So Fauci is afraid of saying something that would land him behind bars. That's the crux of the matter. Senator Rand Paul isn't obsessed with Fauci. He's obsessed with uncovering the truth on behalf of the people, you. And Fauci also admitted, basically, that the truth would land him behind bars. His brazen arrogance led Paul to conclude the hearing with this yesterday. Listen.
I'm going to give you one more opportunity to comply with the law, limited to the period of your pardon. At any point between January 1st, 2014 and January 19th, 2025, did you destroy any federal record or tell anyone else to?
Under the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Given that you have a unlimited presidential pardon, what is your specific objection that you are making?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
My question was limited to the period of your pardon only. I find your objection unsupported and direct you to answer the question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Because you refuse to answer, citing a privilege that is unsupported because of your pardon, and after being denied to do so, this committee has scheduled a vote next week on a resolution certifying your contempt.
And there you have it. He pointed out the pardon itself undercuts any Fifth Amendment claim here, which is what makes yesterday so insulting to all of us. A contempt vote could carry real consequences, up to a year in prison, but a year in prison would be a slap on the hand for a man who victimized millions of Americans with megalomania, a man who pretends now to be the victim. Americans remember, I remember, the shifting guidance, the school closures, the economic damage, and the insistence that certain ideas like the lab leak theory were just off limits. We want justice. Yesterday exposed the double standard. The man who craved authority and applause during the crisis now claims he was just a humble advisor with no real power. He loved every minute in the spotlight when it suited him. When the light shifted in scrutiny, he chose silence. We don't need more political kabuki theater. We need truth. And yesterday, the refusal by Anthony Fauci to provide any spoke louder than any press conference ever did. The real fight for justice continues. And leaders like Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, and Bernie Moreno are leading the way. Here's hoping for more accountability. All right, let's talk about it. How you sleep last night? Did you do well? I did, because I have a ghost bed. You know, it's summertime. Sometimes you sleep hot, but Ghost Bed has proprietary, patented technology to keep you cool. It's one of the reasons I switched to Ghost Bed. Best decision Ivy and I ever made. We've been using it for 4 or 5 months now. We sleep well. We wake up refreshed, ready to go. Cooling tech built into every mattress helps make sure that your summer isn't a hot toss and turn summer, but an incredible sleep summer. That's been our experience. And Ghost Bed gives you 101 nights at home to try it. If you don't like it, really don't. They'll come pick it up, no questions asked. How many more nights are you going to waste not sleeping? GhostBed offering you, my audience, an extra 10% off. Financing is available. Some Ghost Beds come out around $1 a day. GhostBed.com/Gruber, promo code Gruber. GhostBed.com/Gruber, promo code is Gruber. You'll be glad you did. I'll be back. I put a video up on social media yesterday because I took a video putting diesel fuel in my truck. I drive one of these Chevys with what I call the baby diesel, 3-liter diesel engine. I think it's great. It's got great power. It gets 25 miles to the gallon compared to the gas truck I had previous to that. It gets 10 miles a gallon more. So even if diesel fuel's $1 more per gallon, I don't care. I'm money ahead. So I drive by a BP station, and it says diesel's $5.99. And I'm like, that's crazy, because I've seen it cheaper. I saw it for $4.99 in the UP of Michigan a day or two earlier. So I drive down the road, not too far down the road, there's another BP station selling that same diesel fuel for $5.29, 70 cents less, 70 cents less per gallon. So how can it be that the same fuel from the same company is selling for 70 cents less? I put a video up on X and Facebook and wherever else, and you can see it. I'm right there at the pump. You can see $5.29 on the pump, right? Well, here's one of the reasons that you're seeing that. Shell just reported a nearly $10 billion adjusted earning report. $9.8 billion in adjusted earnings as energy prices surge. It more than doubled its second quarter earnings from a year before. Shell doubled its earnings. I'm sure BP did the same. And all the other companies out there. I told you when this started and oil started to go up, they're all going to make bank, and make bank they have. Which leads to only one conclusion for me. They're cashing in on the idea that, there's been a missile strike. You see, one missile strike in Iran, gas prices go up. Oil, still at about $80 a barrel right now. Why are gas prices going up? Why are gas prices so high? Well, Shell doubling its earnings year over year, doubling it. That should tell you a lot. That should tell you everything you need to know. I'll take a break and be back. Good morning. It's Daybreak.
Go.
Man, if you guys could just hear what goes on in the breaks, you go, really, Gruber? What is up with you? Well, sometimes a little off. A lot going on, to say the least. John Tillman is the CEO of the American Culture Project, founder and CEO of the Hall of Giants, author of a new book, Political Vice, How the Radical Left Controls America and the Path to Regaining Our Liberty. All right, so here we are, coming up to the midterms. And we have talked about this a lot because the Democrats are doing something that is usually reserved for Republicans, getting really lousy candidates into an otherwise winnable race and blowing it. I mean, you're seeing it again in Maine, the replacement for Graham Plattner, Troy Jackson, no better. James Tallarico in Texas. This guy's a disaster. It looks like Abdul El-Sayed might well win the Senate nomination for the Democrats in Michigan. He's not electable statewide, I don't believe. I live here. John, welcome to the program. I mean, usually this is an area reserved for Republicans getting really lousy candidates, but this DSA thing, they invited them in the tent and they set the tent on fire. And they're like, well, how did that happen? Because you allowed it to happen, wouldn't you say?
It's so fun, Steve, to see the other side doing these really, really dumb things when it comes to candidate selection. And they're doing it over and over and over again. Abdul El-Sayed, a guy who got his medical degree but never practiced medicine but pretends to be a doctor. A guy who holds all the same policies as the DSA but pretends he doesn't, really have any. The DSA, I've never even heard of them. I don't even know who you're talking about. But the other part of this that's so funny is Haley Stevens. She's about as moderate as the new governor of Virginia, Abigail Spanberger. Haley Stevens is a Biden Democrat, not Biden the fake moderate, but rather Biden the extreme leftist as president. And they keep electing people, one nominating or putting up for the nomination one after another. You have in Detroit, I'm a native Michigander up from Fremont up in West Michigan, and down in Detroit they have a DSA candidate who's openly for the DSA, running against an incumbent Democrat who is actually somewhat of a moderate that the radical left is now dissatisfied.
And one more. There's one more because the hottest congressional race in the country is Michigan's 7th congressional district, represented by freshman Congressman Tom Barrett right now. It looks, from all the information I'm getting from internal polling, it looks like Will Lawrence, a member of the DSA, is going to beat out two normal Democrat candidates, if you will. The two Democrat candidates that are, more normal are tied and running about 10 points behind. It's remarkable. The Democrats thought that was an easy seat for them to flip. They put that guy in there, a community organizer, against a military veteran and a guy who's done things in his life. They come up short. I'm just convinced of it.
It's wild. The term normal Democrats, what is a normal Democrat these days? Anti-capitalism, anti-free enterprise, hostile to people who have success in the world and become wealthy and think they're an enemy of the people. Generally speaking, for open borders, they want to see the people that have come here illegally, who's particularly violent criminals, be released into the streets and left on the streets. They reject ICE trying to find people who have committed crimes against the American people and having them go through the process of deportation. That's a normal Democrat today. Paul Wellstone or Democrats from the 1990s would not, or Bill Clinton, who he was then, would be considered a conservative radical Republican today, given the policies that he ran on and governed by at that time.
Well, what would John Kennedy be today? A guy who said it was the duty of every American to fight for this country every day and to fight for freedom. I mean, John Kennedy, who served on PT 109, we could debate whether or not he was the cause of PT 109 being sunk because of maybe not great decisions, but he swam 2 miles to save his crew. That's what John Kennedy did, right? What would he be? What would he be today?
He would be considered a radical conservative to the right of Barry Goldwater today. John Kennedy wanted to cut taxes and did cut taxes and increased government revenues by cutting taxes, which happens every time, but people seem to forget that lesson. He believed in a strong defense. He believed in proper policing and making sure that criminals were held accountable while still having compassion for those who have gone wayward in life and making sure the justice system was proper and gave people a fair shot. John Kennedy would be a radical conservative by today's standard. He'd be right of the current president.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, John. Regardless of the outcome of the midterms, which, by the way, I believe the Republicans have a 50-50 shot of holding the House now. I didn't think that 2 or 3 months ago. And then these candidates continue to emerge and these problems, and Mamdani does whatever he does, and these clowns are out there, and people are scratching their head going, I can't vote for that. The DSA candidates are especially unpopular with black voters, if nobody has paid attention to that. So my question to you is this the death of the Democrat Party? Because these people aren't going anywhere. They're running as Democrats, even though they're not. They're getting nominated and winning primaries as Democrats, even though they're not. So, regardless of the outcome of 2026, look down the road at 2028. Does the Democrat Party, are they still a serious political party?
It's so interesting that you bring that up because the media and the Democrats have long really enjoyed talking about the schisms within the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and certainly there are those. But this is not, I don't think, the death of the Democratic Party. What we're actually seeing now is a resurgence of sort of normal Democrats, Rahm Emanuel probably being the best example. Former Congressman Harold Ford's a good example. These are rational Democrats who have more traditional Democratic views, who are pro-America, pro-free enterprise, pro-capitalism. We can debate about how much regulation we should have, how much we should pay in taxes and what those taxes should be used for. That's who those people are. And they're now trying to reassert their voice and regain control. But as we know from history, DSA candidates are the embodiment of what happens in all radical authoritarian leftist movements. They are ruthless and they have the imaginations of primary voters. And we're going to see which primary voters show up in Michigan on Tuesday and which ones will show up the rest of the year. Will it be the radical Democrats who want to destroy America? Or will be Democrats who cherish the American founding and want to preserve it and argue with Republicans about what's the best way to create governance going forward?
It's interesting you point that out because going back to some internal polling that have been shared with me, Abdul El Sayed here in Michigan, if you do the normal polling, go to Real Clear Politics, it'll show Haley Stevens up by 3-4 points, right? But when you ask about enthusiasm and you change the question in the polling and who's really going to vote and who is fired up to go vote, it's the people for El Sayed, Will Lawrence, those sorts of candidates, because Michigan's primary is Tuesday. And when you throw those in, El Sayed is up by 3 or 4 points over Haley Stevens. Will Lawrence is winning in a walkaway against the two normal Democrat candidates, again, whatever that means. These people are going to vote, every one of them. And that's going to push these fringe people onto the November ballot. Last word to you.
That's a reflection of the fact that this reflects people's identity. This is how they feel virtue about their life by choosing these candidates over others. They're looking for a purpose in life, and these radical leftists are giving them purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of being on the moral high ground. It's kind of a sad thing given what they actually believe.
John, good talking to you as always. John, you can call me Hans. That's okay. They call me Hans sometimes too, John. Hans Gruber, from that Christmas movie.
that last little jump you're going to make, Hans, is going to be very difficult. Be careful.
Yeah, watch that last
You go
step.
out the window.
Yeah.
Go out the window.
Die hard. Yeah. So people call me Hans. Anyhow, John, always good talking to you, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Greatly appreciate it. Hans Gruber. Yeah. I get it. I get the jokes. Anyhow, I've got an education for you. A video explanation coming up in a second here that will explain how your body functions in a way maybe you haven't seen before. It's pretty cool. I'll be right back with that on Daybreak. Oh, welcome to it on a Thursday. Nice to see you here on Daybreak. Hope your morning is going well. Hope you got some coffee and you're ready to learn something. We're going to take a little bit of a class here about CBD and how your body works and functions and operates. Tim Roberts is the owner of Patriots Relief. Patriots Relief is pain relief, reduces anxiety, helps you sleep. CBD is a product that's all natural, not related to marijuana, but all natural. Tim Roberts, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you again. And you've got a bit of education here for us. Do tell.
Yeah, came across this video. It seemed like it was reposted by one of our favorite people running the country. And a good friend of ours, both of ours, shared it with me yesterday. And it really tells it all. It tells about the remarkable truth, how amazing CBD is in restoring the internal balances of our body systems. And I thought,
and it was shared, as you mentioned, by President Trump on Truth Social, if I'm not mistaken. So if the president can play it, I guess we can play it. Here it is.
There you go.
You can revolutionize senior health care. We've all heard about the major systems in our bodies, like the digestive, respiratory, nervous, and cardiovascular systems. But there's one essential system discovered in the 90s that you probably never heard of. It makes all of the other systems work smoothly with each other. Like a conductor ensuring the different sections of an orchestra all play a beautiful symphony together. This system is called the endocannabinoid system. It has been acknowledged and studied by scientists extensively with support from the National Institutes of Health. As we age, the system weakens. As a result, the different systems in our body stop working together smoothly. That's one of the reasons older adults struggle with pain, inflammation, cognitive decline, and other ailments of aging, for which doctors often prescribe dangerous and addictive pharmaceuticals. They also recommend lifestyle remedies, such as exercise, good diet, and stress management. And while all these improve the system, it is only fractionally and over a long time. But here's the game changer. The system can be restored faster using hemp-derived CBD. When the system is restored, pain subsides, sleep is improved, and stress is reduced. When the system is restored, disease progression can slow down, and years are added to your life, as well as years spent in good health. And 20% of seniors are already using CBD today for pain, arthritis, cancer symptoms, sleep disorders, Alzheimer's, and many other ailments of aging. But doctors are not equipped to provide guidance, and there are no FDA standards for what is already in the market today. Imagine if that were the case for other medications. Older adults are suffering needlessly. Hemp-derived CBD can help them feel better, live longer, and improve their quality of life significantly.
A PricewaterhouseCoopers report estimates annual cost savings for the U.S. nearly $64 billion a year if cannabis is fully integrated into the healthcare system.
The groundbreaking 2018 Farm Bill, championed by President Trump, was the first step. Now it's time to educate doctors on the endocannabinoid system, provide Medicare coverage for CBD, and give millions of seniors the support they deserve. You will deliver the most important senior health initiative of the century, cementing your legacy and transforming aging care. Millions everywhere will thank you.
Quite an educational video, Tim. And again, posted by the boss, by Donald Trump, on his Truth Social. He must put some stock in it.
Yeah, for sure. It's really remarkable, honestly, the truth about how amazing CBD is for restoring the internal balance of our body systems. People don't realize it. As we age, like you and I have talked about this for years now, right? We've been together, and you know, as you get older, these things they just stop working as well as they used to, and we really need to get that CBD in there to get everything working again.
Yeah, and you've been there with Patriots Relief. Again, it's anxiety, it's sleep, it's pain management. You know, you've got these topicals that I've used for pain management when I go to the gym and Sarge is mean to me and Ivy, and we're sore the next day. we're able to bounce back a lot faster. And then, of course, we talked about my dog Cody, who we gave tinctures to in the last couple of years of her life, and I believe extended her life and improved the quality of her life. And the dog doesn't have any idea. The dog didn't read the label unless she was smarter than I realized. I don't think she was. Nice dog, but it's all there for you. So we got a big special for the folks here today who saw the video and would maybe like to learn more. Tell me what the big promo is today.
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on it. The tinctures are the best way to get the CBD into your system because you're putting it under your tongue. It's going right into your blood system. And there's a difference between full spectrum and broad spectrum. So just really quickly, like that full spectrum has that tiny bit of THC, and that really helps activate the whole thing. That little bit of THC, don't anybody worry about it. You've talked about this before. It's not like marijuana. It's not going to get you high. So the tinctures are the best, but like you said, the topicals are so amazing. So we have combo packs. So what we've decided to do is today through the rest of the weekend, we're going to provide 45% off our combo packs and 40% off of everything else with free shipping. So the combo packs include those topicals you talked about, plus the tinctures. So, or even the soft gels and the gummies, but we've just put together combo packs where we knock more off the price by putting things together. And then anything else besides gift cards that you put into your shopping cart, you're going to get 40% off all of those products.
40% off, my friends. How do you beat that? Again, give them the website. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Give them the website real quick.
It's patriotsrelief.com, and it's 45% off those combo packs. So that's really good too. But patriotsrelief.com, and you can call us at 877-230-1776. Either myself or one of my daughters will answer the phone, and we'll make sure we listen to what you're talking about, find out what would work best for you, and get your order placed for you.
Tim Roberts, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks so much, Steve. God bless.
All right, I'll take a break and be right back on Daybreak. All right, welcome back to the program on a Thursday. Boy, we've got a big surprise for you tomorrow. I can't tell you about it quite yet, but we've got something you do not want to miss on the program tomorrow. It's a big deal. It's been a while, and we're going to have something very special for you tomorrow. Watch for the promos coming out a little bit later today. You'll know what I'm talking about. Today's episode brought to you by Puro Clean's Veterans Initiative, Puro Vet. It's for veterans ready to be their own boss. Join a trusted brand, serve your community in a new way. 855 Puro Vet or purovet.com. They put veterans to the front of the line. They're a great company. Remember the guy in Wisconsin, progressive guy, Trump hater, TDS maximum, who said that there would be free beer the day that Trump dies? Well, his alcohol permit from the state of Wisconsin has been revoked. Ouch. Hello, knock, knock. Who's there? Karma's calling. The Milwaukee Sentinel-Journal reporting this week that liberal activist and brewery owner Kurt Bangstad is, quote, filing to fight tooth and nail after receiving a letter from the state's Department of Revenue revoking Minocqua Brewing Company's permit to operate in Wisconsin, according to a July 26 newsletter sent to his supporters. As you can imagine, I'm not taking this lying down. We're going to fight the state of Wisconsin tooth and nail, and once again, they'll have to pry me out of my tap rooms before I stop selling beer to thirsty progressives who come to visit us. Yeah, well, they might just pry you out of there. Let's see here. He's also asked people to donate to his legal defense fund. As usual, fighting to keep my business alive means I have to pay lawyers. It's never cheap. Every time this happens, I rack up $100,000 in legal bills before we even see a judge. If you can help chip into the Minocqua Company's legal defense fund, I'd really appreciate it. You know, maybe sometimes if you've got a business and you sell beer, maybe wading into the political quagmire is not a great idea. Now, I don't know why his license was revoked. I'm sure it has nothing to do with politics and something to do with the way he runs his business. Just a guess. Anyhow, karma's rough. Very rough sometimes. All right, it's Thursday. I got a lot more to cover coming up in the next hour here on Daybreak. Sit tight. I'll be right back.
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now on Real America's Voice.
All right, welcome back as we continue fighting for America every single day. We get in there, we roll up our sleeves, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom in the relentless pursuit of truth. We don't care where the truth is, we just try to go find it. And that's what we do every day. Here are three big things you need to know for this hour. Number one, the price of gas is simply rigged. We're seeing record profits being posted by the oil companies, just like I said they would when this war started. They'll crank up the price of gasoline and pad their bottom line, which is exactly what's happening. Number two, new sanctions for Iran as the war continues. The United States pounding Iran again last night. We took a couple of days off. We're not taking any more time off at the moment. We continue to pound them into oblivion. And number three, we'll keep our focus on all the lies. Anthony Fauci, the guy who could not shut up during COVID, now can't seem to find any words to defend his own secret thoughts and writings. He was driven by vanity, according to his own diaries, not science. How many people died so he could be in front of the TV camera, be on the front page of the newspaper? How many people died for his vanity while he was on the cover of InStyle magazine and Time magazine, calling himself the most famous person in the world in his own diaries and his own writings? Ivy's here. And Ivy, the hearing yesterday we watched together, it was brutal for the once arrogant leader of COVID lockdowns, mandatory COVID jabs. You and I sat there going, he's not going to say anything. But boy, he looked like a different person, didn't he? His face was sullen. The arrogant Anthony Fauci seemed to have gone away. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, you described the look as sadness, but I actually think the look is hatred and vitriol towards all of the Republicans who are holding his feet to the fire, as if, listen, I did what I was supposed to do and I am holier than thou, and therefore whatever I did was just perfectly fine. And now that all of these truths have been unveiled through his journals, everyone's looking at this going, are you kidding me?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
He goes out on national television. And he gets the Moderna vaccine, so it shows everyone that it's safe. And then he has the
pulmonary infarction. A blood clot hit his lung after he got the jab. Yeah,
and he doesn't tell anyone about it. And then he goes to Walter Reed and he gets the best care.
That's right. And he tells nobody. He keeps it a secret. But I want to stay with the celebrity for just a moment, because one of the people, the Republicans I thought were terrific yesterday, as was John Fetterman, by the way, the last honest Democrat, calling a spade a spade. But here I want you to hear Josh Hawley describing Fauci's pursuit of celebrity. Here he is.
You had time to sit for InStyle magazine. Here's what you were doing with your time. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you can't answer questions for the American people. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you're here taking the fifth. You could sit for InStyle magazine and get $1 million in cash awards, but now the cat's got your tongue. I bet he does. I tell you what, here's my conclusion from all of this. This was really all about you the whole time. Somewhere along the way, you lost your way. You may have been a good public servant at one time, I don't know. But I can tell you from reading your emails now, from looking at what you did, how you used your employees, somewhere along the line, it became all about you. You became a narcissist and a megalomaniac and a liar. And you've lied to the American people, and you've lied to this body. And you've disgraced your profession by doing it. You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You've done more to harm science than anybody in my lifetime. And I hope you'll...
And he says, he got cut off there. He goes on, I hope you'll go write that in your diary, is what he said.
Yeah.
Remarkable,
Wow.
right?
Ouch. It's tough when you have been, when the truth gets out there, and when you have been when you've been questioned so many times, and it just seems that a lot of what you said were complete lies. I'm sure that
You
was
know,
really
it's
tough for
sad,
him,
though.
as it should be. But I want to go through
Yeah.
this, Steve, really quickly.
All right.
During COVID, Fauci averaged 11 media hits per week for 2 years running, totaling
Wow.
1,741 interviews and an estimated 470 hours of media. And Good Morning America was the #1 show to have him on the air. 31 times he was on Good Morning America. So
So
television, he
here's
was
the
on
problem with that.
859 times for television interviews.
Here's what I was going to say. Good Morning America. What are they? ABC? I guess, whatever they are.
Mhm.
Today, those same networks, NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, whomever, will give this scant coverage because they
Right.
too, the Democrats were running cover for Fauci yesterday again.
That's right.
It's like, guys,
But
it's 1,100 pages of his own words talking about celebrity and the fact that he didn't believe the things he was saying in public, not privately. He believed something different about how deadly the
that's right.
virus was, about how effective the jabs were. He lied about everything. And the thing that Holly said there, he got $1 million in awards, prizes, and he used his government office to apply for those things, used his staff to apply for those things. It's all illegal, all of it.
That's right. And I want to go through here. Republican senators are saying that Fauci's decision to invoke the Fifth Amendment may not be the end of the story. After, as we know, after declining more than 100 questions, um, Republicans are now pointing to a legal precedent they believe could open the door for further action. Senator James Lankford cited the case of former IRS official Lois Lerner. Back in 2013, Lerner gave opening statement denying wrongdoing before invoking the Fifth Amendment and refusing to answer questions. Do you remember what this how this happened? Um, Republicans then argued by voluntarily making that statement, she had waived at least some of her Fifth Amendment protections. So they're going to be using this in order to um,
Oh, they're going to
somehow,
vote next week. They're going to vote next
yeah,
week
they're
on
going to
contempt
perhaps
charges.
put him in
Yeah.
contempt of Congress. Yeah.
Yeah. It's remarkable. The guy that couldn't get, he was drawn to those cameras like a moth to the light. He couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah.
He was the most famous guy in the world. He was bathing in his own celebrity. And then it's the Fifth Amendment. And maybe it is contempt. But I will say this about Rand Paul, who I don't always agree with. He's had this guy nailed for years. Fauci lied to Rand Paul during congressional hearings. And I don't know.
Well,
I don't think he's out of this yet. He's got 7 lawyers in there with him. That should tell you something.
right. I did see RFK yesterday also on the air because he wrote a book, The Real Anthony Fauci. So he's very knowledgeable about the things that Anthony Fauci has done. And, you know, he had some striking things to say about reading his journals. The one that we had just talked about in terms of him having a negative side effect to the vaccine. But how terrible. I mean, how can you go out there as a public health official and have that oath of doing no harm and actually having harm to yourself and not telling anyone about it?
Lying about it. Lying by
like
omission.
the biggest. It's
Yeah,
horrible. Absolutely terrible.
It's just terrible. Anyhow, it was fairly entertaining though, even though he didn't answer questions. We were sitting there going,
It's a little brutal.
Bernie Marino, we had to heavily edit his comments because he F-bombed right at the guy. Who the F do you think you are? Anyhow, I got to leave it there. It was quite something, a special moment in the Senate. Ivy, love you.
Love you.
Oh boy. If you missed it, it was fun. Back after this.
If you're an older adult
You know, there are a lot of interesting things happening that don't make it to the top of the fold, that don't lead the nightly news that this president and this administration are doing every single day. And of course, you get the Iran war leading the coverage, or Anthony Fauci, or whatever it might be any given day. But there's a lot going on because the president made a lot of promises during his reelection bid in 2024, most of which he's done pretty well at keeping. And one of those was to overhaul the Veterans Administration and bring VA tech into hospitals and so forth, and improve the care for America's veterans. Jane Zirkle is an American journalist, TV personality. She joins me now because she's been looking into this. Jane, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. This is one of those stories that's really important to millions of American veterans. Doesn't get a lot of coverage. But again, the president went out there and he's working to deliver on promises he made to the people, the men and women that have fought in battle for this country, right?
Definitely. This is all about ushering a new era and a new standard of veteran care in this country, which unfortunately has failed many of our veterans. I mean, we're in a situation currently where over 17 veterans a day are taking their lives. And by the end of 2026, over 14 million Americans will be eligible for treatment under the VA healthcare system. So this isn't just another government IT project. This is a complete overhaul and modernization effort. We're talking about a united front when it comes to electronic health veterans between the Department of Defense and the VA, which many are shocked to learn are not already in complete coordination with one another.
It is interesting, but you know, Jane, it's not unique to the VA. You look at, you go into the DMV, go to any government agency at the local, state, or federal level, their computer systems are like from museums. I mean, well, we've all got the latest, greatest laptops and so on and so forth. Government is always behind. So this is really important for patient records, for treatment, for comparing treatment records from other places and other times. I mean, it's really important, isn't it?
Of course, when a veteran goes to get health care, it should not be dependent on where he or she is in the country. They should receive the same high standard of care, whether they're in Florida, Kentucky, Michigan, you name it. And this is especially important when it comes to transitioning from active duty to veteran status, because often veterans face delays, they face massive hurdles in getting the records from the DoD to the VA to align. And what this does, it streamlines it, it makes it more effective. And that's what this is all about. You know, just like Elon Musk created Doge, this is doging the VA healthcare record system, essentially. And if we continue as to where we are right now and the track record we are in terms of rollout, this could be across the country by 2031.
So a 5-year project to upgrade, update, improve, and hopefully improve the patient experience, which again, I tie this into what the president did during his first term, which is to say, look, if you're a VA qualifying member of the military and you can't see a doctor, let's make sure you can see a doctor. That just just basic stuff. And then you fast forward to overhauling the tech. It's a progression of improvements, and it continues to this day, it seems to me.
Of course, and what's currently in place is the VISTA system, which has been in place since the late 1970s, early 1980s, where each individual veteran healthcare clinic has their own type of computer system, and it has just led to really chaos. And unfortunately, what we're seeing in a lot of the problems that veterans have in terms of navigating the healthcare system, it's the inability to weed through the bureaucratic blockades and the just mess of the current system, because from state to state things vary so much. And this is a united front. This is ushering really in a golden age. You know, we talk about Trump ushering in the golden age. This is going to set a new standard for veteran health care in America. And I think it's something that the Trump administration is really going to be remembered for when veterans think of how this administration changed their quality of life.
Yeah, one of the things that's going to take time is a lot of veterans' records, believe it or not, according to people I've talked to, are still paper records. They've not gotten into the computer yet. So there's a lot of work to be done just entering people into the system that may not be in there now because their records are still believe it or not, on paper. That takes time,
Exactly.
doesn't it?
Exactly. And this is why it's taken so long. I mean, this project was really, touted with and toyed with way back in 2009. I mean, the company now, Oracle Health, that is overseeing it, took it over in 2018. But this has taken quite a long time to roll out. But because President Trump has put veteran health care at the forefront of his agenda, we're seeing the success in implementation. Michigan just had successful implementation. We're looking for, new implementation in Indiana, Kentucky, Alaska, just to name a few. And as I said, by 2031, if we continue on this path, this could be across the country, and this saves lives. When veterans do not have to jump through hoops to get the health care that they need and deserve, it's a completely different story in terms of the quality of life for veterans in this country. And these are our best and brightest. And as I said, it's over 14 million Americans. So this is not a small number of Americans that this is impacting. This makes a huge impact on our country as a whole.
Good news. Nice to have a good news story once in a while. Jane, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Greatly appreciate it. Seems like to bring you the good news, too. Now, we wouldn't be celebrating America 250 without the veterans, and if not for a strong foundation set by the framers. Hamilton built America's financial system on the principle of sound, stable money, a principle later embodied by the gold standard. Of course, we got rid of that in 1971, and we've seen inflation erode the dollar's value ever since. What is the foundation of your savings? Is it gold or something that can be shaken, disrupted, or devalued? Birch Gold Group has been helping Americans solidify their savings with gold for the past 15 years. They'll help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Learn how gold fits into your portfolio by texting America to the number 989898. You'll receive a free, no-obligation information kit. They've got an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau with many 5-star reviews. Let Birch Gold help you build a foundation with gold. Text America to the number 989898. America to 989898. I'll be right back on Daybreak after this. All right, so Gavin Newsom, who has high hopes to sit in the Oval Office come January 2029, I think it's more of a pipe dream, because who wants to turn the country into California? I certainly don't, right? I don't. But his ex-mistress had a full expose published in Vanity Fair this week. Ruby Rippey is her name, and she goes through it step by step, a painful explanation. She was married to Newsom's campaign manager, though he was campaigning for something else, her. But then she got advice from Kamala Harris, who also still wants to be president of the United States. This should make it for an interesting deal. Kamala Harris, and this is a quote from the article, to Ruby. Quote, she listens and then simply says, I wouldn't say anything right now, Ruby. Just pause. More time will give you better perspective. I.e., just shut up about it and keep it quiet and keep it to yourself. Yeah. The essay chronicles Rippey's battle with alcoholism, the eventual breakdown in her marriage, her journey to sobriety, while questioning how Newsom's team framed the affair in his memoir. She's throwing a flag on the play, calling it all BS. You can read that in Vanity Fair if you must, or you can just leave it there. All right, this part of the program brought to you by my good friends at Home Title Lock. Is your home yours? You know, AI can clone your voice, forge your signature, even create fake documents that fool experts, and criminals are using these tools right now to steal from you. How? Title fraud. Your property records are public. Your name, your address, even your signature, it's all sitting in a database anyone can access. A cyber scammer pulls your records, uses AI to forge a transfer document, files it with your county, and on paper, they now own your property. Then they can borrow against your equity and even sell your property long before you even know something's wrong. That's why I use Home Title Lock. I love them. Their monitoring system looks at me 24/7. Any changes, any games with my title, and people know about it. When was the last time you checked your title records? You can do it today. Just go to HometitleLock.com, get a free title history report at HometitleLock.com. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll also get a free trial of the $1 Million Triple Protection Plan. That's a great deal. Sleep well tonight. Know that your property is your property and not some cyber thief. HometitleLock.com. Do it today. Promo code is Gruber. I'll be right back. All right, a story that's gotten some national attention, to say the least, because my next two guests have been called by all the major networks after a big court ruling because a parent was told, you're not allowed to be on school grounds. In fact, it was so bad, they posted his picture in the office as if he were America's most wanted. Yeah, Gary Pruitt. is here this morning, along with his attorney, David Coleman, senior partner at the Coleman Legal Group. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
All right, Gary, let's start with you. Tell us what happened here. How did this big jam happen?
Well, there was first of the school year in Grosse Pointe Middle School starts in 5th grade. And so we're doing like a parent-teacher night. We're walking through the school. And I noticed, that they had the rainbow flags up, and I noticed the transgender flags in a few rooms. And I thought, that's different, than what I expected for a middle school. And like a week later, I went up to, my son had forgot his notebook at school or whatever. And I went up to the school, and while I was up there, I came across the principal, and I said, "Hey, can I talk to you a minute?" And he said, "Sure." So he sat down, he went in his office, and I said, "I'm confused. Why is this a necessary part of education for kids to have, like a transgender flag in the classroom?" And, he gave me the kind of the brush off, like, I don't make school policy. I can't help you really. Maybe you want to go up the ladder a little bit, talk to the superintendent. So that's what I did. Kind of got the same result from him. Maybe talk to the school board. So I was trying to, do the chain of command thing, and emailed the school board, who their response was a little more hostile. I had a lady on the board who emailed me back, gave me a list of reasons why, gay rights are protected and everything. And then at the bottom of the email, she said, "But if you're so worried about your son seeing the color of the rainbow, maybe you should just send him to school in sunglasses so he's not exposed to the full spectrum of color."
Send him to school in sunglasses. But then, if I understand this correctly, Gary, you took some videos, no big deal. You're in the school legally doing your thing. You took some videos, put them on social media, right? Didn't say anything nasty, just put them up there. Hey, by the way, this is what's happening in your school system, right?
Correct.
And then what happened?
I went to the school with permission, because after I got that response, I thought, well, I have no options here. These people are hostile when you talk to them. I said, "Could I have permission to tour the school?" And they said, "Well, yeah, sure. After class is let out one day, you can come in, and you can walk through with your son, and he can show you around the school." So that's what we did. We walked around the school, and I videotaped, a few places throughout the room or the school, but the one in particular I taped was this giant transgender flag it was from the ceiling of the room to the floor. It was giant, covered the whole room. There was no American flag visible in the room that I could see when I walked in there, just one giant transgender flag. And I said nothing to anyone when I did it. I just said hi. When I walked in the classroom, there was a teacher still there after school, and I said hi. Nothing confrontational at all. That's the most conversation I had while I was in there. And then I posted it on Facebook, I don't know, 2 weeks later, into like a parent group, and they lost their minds. They didn't like getting exposed for what they had in the school.
And they banned you. They banned you for being on school property, even though your child goes to school there. Now, I need to bring in David Coleman here. And David, so you get wind of this, and you're like, you can't do that. He was there with permission, with his son, touring a public school and videotaping what's on the walls. And they banned him, David. This is remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, it was ridiculous, Steve. I mean, everybody has the right to free speech. You have the right to criticize government officials, school officials. We asked them to remove the ban. It had been in place for a year and a half. And we sent a letter and explained the constitutional law that applies and said, hey, you need to lift this ban and we'll all be happy and we'll all go home. No, they refused. And so we filed suit in federal court. And Judge White last week issued a preliminary injunction granting everything we asked for. He quashed this ban that was illegal. He ordered them to take down Shane's picture from the school office, so he's no longer on America's Most Wanted. And then the judge also said that they could take no further retaliatory action against him. So it was a great decision by Judge White.
So can he go back to the school then? Can he go walk around with his kid again and take more pictures of whatever he wants and post it on social media however he wants? Is that what the takeaway is?
Yeah, he is now free to go to the school. At times, other parents can come. I mean, obviously, you can't come in and disrupt the school,
No,
but
I
he didn't do
understand.
that. He didn't threaten anybody. He didn't intimidate anybody. So now we sit back and wait, Steve. We see, are they going to file an appeal? They have 30 days to do that. If they file an appeal, we'll go to the Sixth Circuit, and I think we'll prevail there too, based on the case law as it exists today. If they don't appeal, then we're going to be filing a motion for permanent injunction, and then we're going to still have a trial on damages, and we have a defamation count because they've defamed our client. And so there's still parts of the case that are ongoing.
Unbelievable. Mr. Pruitt, do you feel vindicated?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I never thought I was in the wrong. I mean, when they, their tactics that they use is they send police to my house, which is intimidating, to serve the trespass. They could have just sent that in a certified letter, but they use the police to do it. So it was the whole bully retaliation kind of thing. And, then you're discriminated against. You can't approach a school like any other parent.
Let me ask you this.
It feels good.
This is important. How have they treated your son?
They've been okay with him. There was an issue when this first happened where, with the exception of this was a major one because our family values is based in Christianity. And I made that very clear to them when all this was going on. I said, well, I may be banned or whatever. I said, but I would still prefer that my son not be in any classes where there's that type of ideology being pushed. I said, I would like to move to a different class. They never once told me I had an opt-out option where I could opt him out of those classes. The superintendent told me, he said, well, I'll see what we can do at the time. I don't know if we have classes available. The very next semester, after all this had happened, they put him in that class that I videotaped in, set him right in front of the flag the entire time. He's sitting there.
Rubbed your nose in it. So they basically rubbed your nose in it, and were vindictive, I think is the word an attorney like David Coleman might use. They use vindictive behavior. All right. David, last word to you. You think if it goes to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, Cincinnati, you win. Just give me 20 seconds. Last word.
Yeah, this is such a clear-cut case, Steve. I actually was quite surprised by the school's reaction. You would think when this case law is put in front of them, it's very clear. They know the limits of what they can and can't do, and yet they did it anyway. And I think that's the problem these days. Public schools do what they want and get away with it 98% of the time because nobody objects, and nobody is like Mr. Pruitt who's willing to stand up and fight. So I say to parents out there, if they're doing this to your kids, stand up and fight.
David Coleman, always a pleasure. Thank you both for being here today.
Thanks, Steve.
For your time.
Really appreciate it. There you have it. What do you make of that? Send me an email, stevegruber.com. Love to hear from you on this one. stevegruber.com. Back on Daybreak after this. All right, jumping back into it now. We've spoken a lot about Anthony Fauci this morning. We'll do more of that coming up in the next hour. But I did want to share this one with you because the president was in the Oval Office yesterday for a presentation on a complete makeover of Dulles, the big airport there in D.C., as he continues to try to transform D.C. into a world-class city again. He says the nation's capital, it should be cleaned up. That's why he brought in the National Guard. He's cleaning up the monuments, the statues, the reflecting pool, all of those things. And during his time in the Oval Office yesterday, in the middle of the afternoon yesterday, he was asked about Anthony Fauci and yesterday's circus, if you will. Here's how he responded.
Mr. President, thank you. Dr. Fauci invoked the Fifth Amendment more than 100 times today.
Yes,
Senator
sir.
Rand Paul said he's going to hold a vote on holding him in contempt of Congress. Do you think Dr. Fauci should face repercussions for this?
Well, I watched the whole thing today, but more importantly, I was a part of the whole Fauci. I inherited Fauci. He was here from the 1980s, so I had him for a period of time. And I disagreed with him on a lot. I would have had to close down the whole country if I listened to him. I went the Federalist way, which is basically let the governors decide. And generally speaking, the Republican governors did very well. The Democrat governors did not very well. But Fauci wanted to have nobody wearing masks, if you remember, and then everybody had to wear 5 masks, as many masks as you could get. I mean, made a lot of mistakes. And he wasn't a big factor for me. He was a very big factor for Biden. And if you remember, even though we were prime time in terms of that whole disaster of COVID, fewer in the Trump administration than in the Biden administration. We ran it well. Operation Warp Speed was talked about as being one of the great success stories anywhere in the world, actually. And we did a good job. But many more people died under Biden than died in the Trump administration from COVID. COVID was a disaster, but Fauci did not help.
Fauci did not help. And boy, again, we're going to take a deeper dive into that again at the top of the next hour, because he went from being smug, arrogant, and aggressive to sullen. And maybe Ivy's right. Maybe it was anger. Maybe he's seething. But to me, he looked more like he was defeated. Watching that yesterday, I think he knows that something bad is coming his way. You can't use your government position and government employees to go after $1 million in prize money, which he did. I mean, how many magazines was he on the cover of? I'll bet those are all framed on his wall, in his wall of glory to himself at home. I mean, he was writing in his own diary about how famous he was, how he was the most famous person in the world, and so on and so forth. So it wasn't just America where Anthony Fauci created problems, because he was listened to around the world. Yeah, listened to around the world, and that really is something that has to be reckoned with. Shifting gears to the end of TPS for Haitians, the Republican governor of the state of Ohio, Mike DeWine, is fighting back against the end of temporary protected status for Haitians. He says Haiti is hell today, so he'd be sending people back to hell. Very few of these Haitians will voluntarily go back to Haiti. If they have to leave, they can go someplace else. They want to work. They want to support their family. They don't want to go back to Haiti. There's about 30,000 Haitians in Ohio. Of course, you heard of Springfield. And he says Springfield was rejuvenated by all these Haitians coming to town. People in Springfield that live there their whole lives have a different opinion, to say the least. But as you can imagine, Governor DeWine became the focus of much attention on social media as a result of that post. What makes Haiti hellish? Is it the Haitians? Sean Davis posted that question. He's a co-founder of the Federalist. From the Blaze, hey, Governor, what is it that makes Haiti so bad anyway? And Larry Sanger, I think the real question here is, if Haiti is hell, why are we importing Haitians? It's a legitimate question. And TPS means temporary. Temporary. Still reeling from Trump's very negative Yelp review of Haiti, which means I'll love it. said Conan O'Brien. I have no idea what the president has against the people of Haiti, but if the president doesn't like them, they must be lovely people, said Conan O'Brien. You see, all these celebrities, not all of them, the vast majority of them on the same page, and come out with the same kinds of comments, right? It's so telling. So Governor Mike DeWine, he's former senator, now governor in the state of Ohio, where Bernie Moreno did a fabulous job yesterday. We'll hear from him in the next hour. But Bernie Moreno, the senator there, did a fabulous job with FAUCI yesterday. And he's hard-nosed and really is much more representative. Look, I used to live in Ohio. Met Mike DeWine, interviewed him many times. He's called a Bush Republican. Well, Bush Republicans really aren't the flavor anymore for most people. They want a harder-nosed attitude toward the border, toward taxes, toward energy policy, toward all of these things. Mike DeWine is, I think, a bit out of touch. Ohio really isn't even a swing state anymore. 20 years ago, Ohio was the bellwether state. It's not anymore. It's become a red state. But with Mike DeWine, it's not dark red. It's more pink, I think would be a way to put it. But anyhow, seems the Haitians can self-deport or they can be forcibly evicted. Regardless of what the governor of Ohio may or may not think, that's the law, and that's what's going to happen. Coming up after the break, Brock will be here with sports on Daybreak. All right, let's check in on sports now with our good friend, Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. There was a full schedule in Major League Baseball yesterday. American League winners included Toronto, Cleveland, and Houston. National League winners included Atlanta, St. Louis, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. There were only 2 games in the WNBA last night, both close games. Atlanta squeaked past Dallas 82-81, and Phoenix won over Golden State 91-89. Multiple media outlets are reporting that the U.S. Soccer Federation and head men's national team coach Mauricio Pochettino are close to a contract extension. Pochettino led the United States to the round of 16 in the just-completed World Cup in North America. And in the National Hockey League, the San Jose Sharks have given star forward Macklin Celebrini a 5-year contract extension worth $94 million. He's now the highest-paid player in the NHL. He had 115 points this past season for the Sharks. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right. So here's what, I look at your emails every day. This is from Alan. He says, Donald Trump must immediately start saying all non-citizens who vote will be deported. If you vote and you're a non-citizen, you'll be deported. Every media opportunity from now on until the midterms. He must add this one sentence to the end of every Truth Social post. It'll go viral on a global scale. What do you think of that? Any illegal or any non-citizen, it could be a green card, could be here legally. Any non-citizen who votes illegally will be deported. It's the easiest, most effective way to stop non-citizens from voting. Repeat, 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 repost, 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 he says. This message will reach deep into the illegal population. Well, I'm going to talk to the president, and I'm going to ask him that. What do you think about making it clear that if you're a non-citizen that votes, you get deported? Bottom line, you're out. We'll see what he says about it. You'll be able to catch that interview, by the way, tomorrow, right here on Daybreak. Yes, the president with me. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I'll take a break and be back.
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now.
All right, welcome to as we continue another hour here on the program. Glad you're along for the conversation. Three big things this hour. Number one, record profits for the oil and gas companies. Record profits, just like I told you would happen. War in Iran, let's make some money. Speaking of Iran, that's number two, because our airstrikes and pummeling of that country, and some people believe they might actually be at a tipping point. I don't know if that's true, but apparently protesters have come back to the streets after a pair of executions. And number three, I've just got to get back to the Anthony Fauci thing. The arrogance of this guy during COVID was remarkable. He thought he was the deal. He thought he was the deal. He was in front of every camera. He was the expert. He could not be questioned. And yet, in his own diaries, he made clear that he didn't believe the things that he was saying in public. So he shows up for a Senate hearing yesterday. He's been pardoned by the auto pen, right? He's been pardoned. So he really doesn't have privilege to plead the Fifth Amendment, and yet he did it 111 times yesterday. It might be some sort of a record. 111 times of pleading the Fifth in front of the Senate committee headed by Rand Paul. Also on the committee, a man that's been on this program a number of times recently, Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. He went after Fauci, who looked like he might cry. And he went after him over ivermectin. Listen to this.
I've got the studies right here. There was a website that was tracking the random controlled studies. Here they are, showing 60, 70% efficacy of ivermectin. The same day you say there's no evidence, there was all kinds of evidence. Loved ones had to go to hospitals, had to sue hospitals. Just, would you try it? So I would want to know, to what extent were you involved in sabotaging hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and did you do that because you knew the only way you get emergency use authorization for these drugs, these experimental gene therapy, was if there was no effective treatment, you couldn't get the emergency use authorization. So is that why you helped sabotage these cheap generic drugs in favor of remdesivir, which, by the way, nurses, are you aware of the fact that nurses called it run, death is near?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
Of course he does. That's one. There were 110 more just like it. But like I said before, yesterday, Fauci was treated like a messiah by the news organizations. The same news organizations, by the way, that continue to try to protect him and insulate him from his own writings. It's not like this stuff is being manufactured by anyone but his own hand. Anthony Fauci bragged to himself in these diaries about how he was the most famous man in the world. Here's a reminder of what the media treated him like back then.
The single most respected voice in the pandemic, it's Dr. Anthony Fauci.
The man who's become known as America's doctor.
The nation's top infectious disease expert, Anthony Fauci.
You are seen to many as a superhero.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, American hero and New York Yankee fan.
You've done so much for this country in terms of this crisis, so I really appreciate your insight.
Who better to give us answers that we can trust than Dr. Anthony Fauci?
The perfect person to answer our questions today. Joining us now, Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, appreciate your candor.
Dr. Fauci,
appreciate the candor.
We appreciate your service to this country.
We appreciate your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Greatly appreciate your service to America.
Thank you for your 37 years of service, I believe, to 7 presidents, and thank you for your work over the past year.
The great news is you're sticking around in the Biden administration. We are so grateful to you, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, great news. I mean, geez. No one of these news organizations like CNN and Wolf Blitzer can't bring themselves to say, hey, maybe we were wrong. Maybe we blew it. Of course, they don't admit that about Hunter Biden's laptop or the Russian interference fallacy or the fallacy that somehow remdesivir or remdesivir or the COVID jab were of any benefit to millions of Americans and people around the world at all. Right? Right. Fauci back in 2022 said he would answer any and all questions. It's bite 6. Let's jump to that one, Anthony. Bite 6. He'd answer all questions. Listen.
Well, if I become a punching bag, I'm a punching bag, but I am very happy to testify before any congressional oversight committee. I have nothing to hide. I can explain and validate everything that I've done. So, you know, it's going to be inconvenient if they actually are out there essentially threatening to make my life miserable. But I'm going to do what I need to do, and that is cooperate fully because we have nothing to hide at all.
Nothing to hide. I'll answer any and all questions. If I'm in the punching bag 111 times. He pleaded the Fifth Amendment yesterday. Nothing to hide. Well, then what's the problem? You'll answer any and all questions? So what's the problem? That was Anthony Fauci, 2022. Fast forward a little bit. And after that, he begged for a pardon, got the pardon by way of the auto pen, right? And then shows up in front of Congress and won't answer any questions at all. At all. Wonder what happened. Wonder what changed. Oh, I know what changed. He forgot to hit delete enough to get rid of 1,100 pages of his own writings. His own writings where he directed how the conversation would go about the proximal origins of SARS-CoV-2, how he fawned upon himself, musings about himself in those diaries. Is that what changed? Because those comments that he would answer any and all questions, he can be a punching bag, he doesn't care, he'll stand on the truth, and so on and so forth. Well, apparently, when he's presented with the truth from Senator Hawley, Senator Marino, Senator Johnson, Senator Rand Paul, he doesn't want to answer anything. And I'll let you decide what that all means. But those are the facts. Anthony Fauci is hiding, refusing to answer any question at all. Love to see your emails on this one, stevegruber.com. stevegruber.com. Send me those emails. All right, I'll take a break and be right back. Welcome back to the program, keeping an eye on the commodities markets, silver and gold. After a big spike, a few months ago, they seem to have really leveled off, went a little bit lower, seem to have come back. Silver's at about $59 and gold not quite $4,100 an ounce. I need to bring in an expert to see where we are on things. Tom Colson, the owner of Liberty Coin Service. That is their national trade name. You can find them at libertycoinservice.com. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
All right, so silver and gold. I mean, silver went all the way up to, $120 an ounce at one point here, not too long ago, but it seems to have leveled out. It all seems to be kind of in a range now, like it found its new home. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think we're still trying to find where the ultimate value lies in the short run. In the long run, I think we're going to revisit those numbers and possibly even go further. But silver is a volatile metal, so it can go up fast, it can go down fast, it can move. But that said, I think we've kind of steadied into a range here between around $57 and $60 for the moment.
What about all this talk about data centers and all these electrical rollouts and so forth, that the demand for silver, this was what was being said when silver was running past $90, $100, $110 an ounce. All this demand out there was not enough silver in the world, and therefore we needed all this silver, and yet we're flat, even though data centers and so forth seem to be being built everywhere. China's not slowing down. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, there is incredible demand for silver. It seems to be growing still. And yeah, from what I understand, that data centers do consume or use a massive amount of silver. So that's something, as they grow, is going to be another use for silver in an already strained market where we've seen shortages for several years.
Right. Now, you have an approach, if you will, a strategy when it comes to metal. You buy a little bit at a time monthly, not a lot, just a little bit, because you say that evens out the rises and falls and kind of gets you to a place you're comfortable. Is that a strategy you recommend to people?
Yeah, I think, it's a cost averaging strategy, and it's something that's employed in buying all kinds of investments. But yeah, I think it's sensible just to buy it a little bit at a time. You don't, that way you don't commit all your resources at a high level, or, you get some at each level as it's going up or down, and that way over time it kind of averages out. And if you see over a long period of time, it usually works out to your benefit that way.
Well, there you go. All right, so here's something else we do with Tom every time he's here, because it's a fun game to play for me, because Tom's like the professor, not just for gold and silver, but for collectibles in general. So if you have something that's collecting dust and you want to say, hey, Gruber, what's it worth? Go to coins@stevegruber.com, send them on in, and we'll review them. The first one here is a 1909 $5 Indian head gold coin. It's a beautiful coin. Comes from Dave in Maine. Tell me about it.
Yeah, very popular design. One of the few U.S. coins that has the incused design, which means the design is stamped or sunken into the planchet rather than having a relief above the planchet. This one looks like it's from the Denver Mint. That's the most common date of the $5 Indians. But yeah, very beautiful design. These go for a little bit over their gold value, but not a lot. You're talking, $1,100, $1,200 retail at the moment. If you have the O Mint from 1909, that's the scarce date, and those are worth quite a lot. Those are $7,000 to $10,000 coins if you find one of those.
Yeah, I'd like to find about 100 of those and be happy. All right, so the next coin we talked about coming in, hard for us to see. This is a Roman coin, maybe. Jane from Florida sent this in. Hard to tell what we're looking at, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the photo's a little bit difficult. I believe this is a bronze coin. It looks like it's from the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. It's got that very distinctive eagle on the reverse. It's a little bit stylized. It's hard to tell from the picture there, but that's what that is. These are usually large bronze coins. They're pretty interesting because it's a really big, thick coin, so it looks very cool in person. Not super scarce, but they're popular because of the design. Typically, depending on condition, these go anywhere from maybe $75 retail to several hundred retail for really nice ones.
So rather affordable place to get in if you want to collect something interesting. The next coin, also one we were scratching our heads over. This comes from Steve in New York. What is it? Any idea?
Yeah, I'm not really sure here. It looks like it has some Byzantine design elements, but It doesn't look like it's particularly a Byzantine coin. It looks like it's a medieval era coin. Um, and that's about all I can tell. It's silver. You can tell that by that, but it looks like it's maybe double struck on the reverse, which is kind of obscuring the legends, and that's making it really difficult to tell exactly what it is.
So this is the kind of coin, look, looking at pictures, you can kind of get a rough idea, but this is why you have to have an expert look at something in person, say, this is what we're looking at, this is what it is, maybe do some homework, and that way you get an actual value, correct?
Yeah, and with a little more research, you could probably pin it down, but yeah, it's a little tricky on that one.
All right, and one more, a coin from 1925. It comes from Brandon, right here in my home state of Michigan. What am I looking at?
Well, that's an Austria 2 Groschen. It's a bronze coin that was issued by Austria in the 1920s. So fairly common coin. Typically, I pay a few cents a piece for these. I throw them in my little treasure chest and give them away to kids if they come in, or if I'm selling them, I get 10, 15 cents a piece for them.
You're a good man, Tom. Get the kids interested in collecting. That's a cool thing that you do. Treasure chest. I never even noticed that in the store. Anyhow, his store is in Lansing, Michigan. Liberty Coin Service is the place to go if you've got a coin collection, if you've got some questions. Tom can help you out. And it's not just about coins. If you've got collectibles, baseball cards, paraphernalia, whatever it might be from different places, Tom has done this for a long time. He's seen a lot. He collects a lot. He knows a lot. That's why he is here. Tom, always appreciate talking to you, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve.
Good conversation with Tom as always. Look, again, if you've got something collectible, just email it, coins@stevegruber.com, coins@stevegruber.com. He's pretty good at it because he's done it for so long, and he collects all sorts of things beyond gold and silver himself. So if it's out there, if it's in your drawer, he probably has a pretty good idea of what it is. Again, coins@stevegruber.com. We do this every couple of weeks, and I think it's great fun. I'll take a break and be right back. All right, welcome back to it. This part of the program brought to you by Doty Mechanical in Lansing, Michigan, at Doty Service Network. We know a comfortable home means everything to your family. That's why we've expanded our services. They now include the same great people, but a new name, now plumbing and appliance repair too. Whether it's heating, cooling, or fixing life's little emergencies, Doty is growing to serve you better because when your home is happy, your family is too. Come on. Visit DotyMechanical.com right now and call 517-327-7777. Doty, your home's new best friend. Experience the Doty difference. All right, I just keep reading these things about James Tallarico. He is he's the socialist candidate running to be the U.S. Senator, a Democrat, but not really a Democrat, but from Texas. And he's just another one of these candidates that have been famously or infamously suggesting that defunding the police is a good idea, that borders should be, open to whoever wants to come here. And now he's saying he embraces the police. But funny thing about the internet is it is forever. The internet is forever. And those tapes are out there, and the evidence is out there, and the truth is out there. And so James Tallarico now has big challenges, and I don't think that he can overcome any of this. I think he's another one of those candidates that Democrats have put up that's ill-advised, frankly, ill-advised. So we'll see how James Tallarico does in the general election against Ken Paxton, who obviously unseated John Cornyn in the primary. And we'll see how it goes from there. A little preview of tomorrow. I will have President Donald Trump on the program tomorrow. So you don't want to miss that. It'll be happening tomorrow morning. Don't miss it. I look forward to talking to the president about a number of topics. I'll give you a little summary here at the end of the hour. The stream is going to end for the morning here. We will continue on radio for the balance of the day, and you can find that at stevegruber.com as well. Listen live. But I'll see you tomorrow morning with the president. This is Daybreak.